Welcome back to another live TC with Lily. My name is Lily, like the flower, because we are learning and growing together. I am the owner, operator, all of the good things of Transaction Care. Did you get your merch? Did you get your merch? tccarepackage.com. It is a care package because when you receive it, you are receiving love, you are receiving inspiration, motivation, empowerment, and a good quality shirt and whatever else I choose to sell in the future. I also just sent out my TC Weekly newsletter. If you haven't already, go ahead and sign up for that because that's where I drop all the gems. That's where I drop all the announcements. That's where you know about stuff like merch, products, coaching, services that I'm offering before it even goes public, before I even announce it here on YouTube, before I announce it anywhere publicly. My TC community learns about it first. So, why am I on live? Well, first of all, I haven't been on live in a very long time, and I thought it was necessary to just hop on here whether anyone is watching in the moment or in the future. So, welcome and thank you. I appreciate you. And this is TC with Lily, a day in the life of a real estate transaction coordinator. What is a transaction coordinator? Well, it's exactly what the name states. A transaction coordinator is someone that essentially coordinates a transaction. So, depending on what end of the file you're on, I work in real estate, residential real estate to be specific. And basically, my job is to help facilitate the journey from contract to close. There are several nuances that go on in between that, such as coordinating with escrow, coordinating with lenders. Our job is not to make sure that we get the loan funded, anything like that. We simply just facilitate in between. It sounds a lot easier than it actually is. And I know I'm just giving a general summary of what can happen, but it's a list of who knows, one of 10,000 steps. It just depends. But overall, if you are a transaction coordinator or interested in being a transaction coordinator and have questions, let me know. I'm going to put a link in this conversation for you to simply just ask me questions. I'm here to help. You can set up a free 15-minute consultation with me, discovery call, alignment call, whatever you want to call it. You can ask me any questions you have about business, real estate, transaction coordination, podcasting, social media, YouTube, getting comfortable in front of the camera. So many things that go on throughout the day. I know we can all get lost in the sauce. We can get confused. We could get overwhelmed. But don't worry. I'm here to help and get you back on track and focused and help keep you accountable. I'm also working on getting certified as a coach. So if you are interested in working with a coach, I know the benefits that I have experienced through working with my coach have been tremendous to the point where I am now embarking in this world. So if you are interested in getting coached or whatnot, come at me, come talk to me. I am here to help. So I use ConvertKit for my newsletters, which just went out every Wednesday. I'm gonna be honest, life gets in the way, and sometimes I don't send it out every Wednesday. I'm not perfect. I am not claiming to be perfect. Things get messy. That's the reality of life. It's the reality of entrepreneurship. But it's just a matter of how long am I going to live in this mess? How long am I going to choose to be in this mess? And what are my options to get out of said mess, right? So some weeks are great. I get everything I need to get done. Other weeks, some things unfortunately fall to the wayside. And I will admit, for the months of April and May, um, I haven't been as consistent with growing my newsletter, sending it out, and giving you guys the information that you need. But we are back on track now, and I'm more than focused on getting this growing. My goal, I have some vanity metrics that I want to achieve when it comes to my TC community, who those of you who signed up to receive my newsletters. I would love to reach 100 of you by June 1st. I think that's pretty realistic. I definitely would love to reach 1,000 subscribers here on my YouTube channel, of course. That's something I'm working towards. June 1st is just basically because it's a middle point in the year. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to keep putting in the work and keep investing. Because mind you, I'm just a one-person show. I'm doing all of the transaction coordination, editing, outlining, posting, promoting, and that is by choice. Of course, I would love the support of the community to initiate and take the initiative to post things that I also post, and to share and reshare and like and comment and engage. But I'm also still learning how this process goes. I'm new into this podcasting world. YouTube is not new to me, but I'm still learning and growing and creating different ways to strategize and get you guys the content that you need, that isn't just self-serving, because all of this knowledge and experience that I have is for the people. It's no longer for me. I'm moving on to a new step in my career. So now as I'm sitting in the student chair, I'm also sitting in the teacher chair when it comes to real estate, being a professional, being a transaction coordinator, owning a business. And I really am passionate about sharing everything I know to make your journey a little or a lot easier than mine was in the past. So in terms of vanity metrics, like I said, I'm really focused on building my TC community, getting people following me on social media, but mostly off to focus on a more intimate setting, which is our inboxes. As not as technical as that may sound, it's important to have a newsletter for your own self. And like I said, I use ConvertKit. It was the quickest, not the quickest, it was the best transition for me to figure out how to get out of just a regular free inbox into a semi-free / paid service, to where I could see more stats on the back end, meaning how many people have subscribed. I can connect it to my website. I can create different categories of like, oh, they signed up on my podcast website versus they signed up on my general website, or they signed up when I shared this on social media. There's ways to just customize it that way. So I love ConvertKit. It's inexpensive. I think I pay like less than $20 a month to maintain this. I'm pretty sure there are other tiers. It also just depends on, let's see, ConvertKit. How much do I pay for ConvertKit? I pay $108 a year. So of course it also depends on how many subscribers you have or how many emails you're importing into the platform. For me, this was my way of starting from zero. As of today, as of right now, I have 64 subscribers. Thank you. And obviously you guys are more than just subscribers. You are my community. You are my people. We are on this journey together. Like I said, my name is Lily, but I always say like the flower for two reasons. When I introduce myself, people tend to hear Billy, Dilly, Silly. They don't hear Lily. So I say Lily like the flower to distinguish that that's what I'm talking about. That is my real name. But also flowers because we are learning and growing together. Flowers require a lot of love and nurturing and attention. Maybe they need more light, maybe they need more sun, or maybe I started talking to my plant. I have one plant. That's all I can handle. That's all I can handle. But let me fix my lighting really quick. But overall, we're learning and growing together because I don't claim to know everything. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know enough to get me through today, because that's all we can be responsible for is today. We don't have control of what's to come. We can influence it, but ultimately life and the universe and God have other plans sometimes, and it may not go the way that we had fully anticipated. And in terms of the past is the past. It's occurred. If there are areas that require me to heal and give it more attention and ask more questions so I can get to the root of the issues that I'm facing that are prohibiting me from moving forward, I will do that. I don't mind taking a few steps back or just pausing. It's not even taking steps backwards. It's just being present with the feelings that are piling up and eliminating them one by one. This has been my biggest lesson all year is I can only focus on one thing, and we should only focus on one thing at a time. If I'm being pulled in several directions, something's going to fall. There's always an opportunity cost to everything. And unfortunately, that could be our family life, our personal lives, our work life, our finances. So If my focus is my podcast, which I did focus on for the first 5 months of the year, then I'm going to give it my all with the intention of knowing, like, okay, I've gotten more comfortable with this. It's become a big habit for me. It takes 21 days to 6 months to build a true habit, depending on what you're trying to implement into your life. And for me, I needed to focus on just podcasting and see what elements, what parts of my emotions, my feelings, my skills that brought out, or where I was lacking, and improve on it. But most of all, incorporate it into my life in a place, in a space and place where it felt natural to do every single day, every single week, right? Which then, as I approached the 5th month, now I'm going into my 6th month. I actually, I'm in my 6th month. So I've reached that 6 month mark. Podcasting is flowing. It's a part of my routine. I don't even think about it. It's no longer a point of stress or anxiety. It's now just a part of my life. To the point where now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to introduce a new project, a new goal of mine, which I mentioned briefly is coaching. I have found a new passion and purpose for coaching. I think it's something that I've always been doing subconsciously, maybe for myself. And it's definitely something that I've been training for. They always say you got to put in your 10,000 hours. Well, as I'm studying and as I'm going through each module and it's getting more and more intense, I'm realizing that had I not done the work even just 5 years ago or 7 years ago, I remember there was like a distinct moment where I was like, this can't be how my life is going to be. This can't be it. There has to be more. I remember those moments. And I think from that point on to today and on, I've been putting in the work. And now that I'm given the structure and these systems and these strategies to implement them to now help someone else in their journey, I'm realizing like this is where I belong today. Everything is on time. I could not have embarked in this journey, whether it was podcasting, coaching, YouTube, even going live. I just started going live recently, but I would not have been able to do these things in a fully committed, where I respect my values way, had I not been putting in the work. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't start whatever it is you want to pursue. You should definitely start. Messy, flawed, incorrect. You have to start, because many of us get caught up in, I'm afraid to make the wrong decision. I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid to succeed. I'm afraid to lose out on all the time I get to spend with family, or I'm afraid that I'm going to have to move, or whatever the case may be. If it comes down to like, I'm afraid of making the wrong decision because you have so many options in front of you. The reason many of us say just to start, even if it's messy, is because oftentimes the wrong decision is not starting. I've started so many projects that have failed, that have succeeded. I'll be honest, I have not sold a single t-shirt yet, but I realized that's not the failure. The failure is not pivoting. The failure is not creating a t-shirt. The failure was having this idea and just sitting on it. Whereas instead I took action, and I knew these shirts are going to sell, but I can also use them as promotion. When I give out a free shirt, that's going to reach a different audience and a different group of people that I wouldn't be able to reach alone. So nothing is an ultimate failure unless you choose to make that the narrative for whatever it is that you're experiencing in life. And when it comes to owning a business, running a business, starting a business, it's okay to take a step back and say, okay, what do I need to do? If there are 100 steps that you need to do, what is the first step you need to take? And then after that, what are the next 2 steps? What are the next 4 steps? What are the next 8 to 10 steps? All right, what are the next 20 steps? You get what I mean? Like, just building that momentum to keep you in line and aligned with you as well as your goals. You don't have to do all 100 steps on day 1 or even year 1. I didn't get my LLC until I think my 3rd year of business, 2020, 21. I'd have to look back at my records, but what I'm getting at is I started my business in 2018. I didn't officially make it on paper. I even got a trademark. I got an LLC, which are two different things. Keep that in mind. An LLC is different from a trademark. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. So I'm not going to sit here and give you the definitions. You can do your own research and due diligence on that. But for those that think like, oh, I have to do all of this right out the gate, yes and no. Most importantly, you want to know why you're doing anything that you're pursuing. And then you want to know your numbers. You want to figure out like, okay, well, an LLC is not free. A trademark isn't free. Is this something I need absolutely today? It just depends on the type of business that you are running. As a transaction coordinator, I didn't need that right away. I just needed to get started with working and creating systems and making sure my technology worked, right? But as I was becoming more established, I realized, okay, this can be bigger than transaction coordination. What if I do want to become a realtor or an investor? I want to be able to protect my assets, and I want to be able to protect my personal things and separate them from my business. So I think now is the time for me to legitimize my business and really set the tone for myself and say, no, this is the real deal. But it all just comes down to starting. And it does take time and energy and effort. You have to show up for yourself every single day, whether it's all 4 hours in the day or 24 seconds. I know some people may be like, well, 24 seconds is nothing. Yeah, but 24 seconds is more than you also not doing anything. It's all in here. We have so much power. And I'm realizing a lot of me that I'm rediscovering or learning about has already been inside of me. It's already existed. And I know that sounds cliche. I get it. It sounds kind of woo woo. But I think life really just kicks our butts, and we lose sight of who we are along that journey. And a part of growing up is also going back to bring along the parts of us that we left behind or missed or need to nurture and heal or hug or love or say congratulations or I'm proud of you or I love you. Like, tell yourself you love you. It can be that simple. Words of affirmation is my love language. Do you know your love languages? I possess all love languages are my languages, but some of them are more superior than others. Like I said, words of affirmations. I used to think it was quality time, but it's a matter of just auditing your life, reassessing who are you at this stage in time? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be surrounded with? How do you want to feel? What are the energies you want to radiate and receive and be surrounded with? I don't listen to the same music that I used to listen to on occasion, of course, if it comes on shuffle, but I find myself gearing towards more ebooks, more documentaries, more podcasts. And, maybe someone a lot younger can say, oh, that's boring. Then, okay, I hear you. I get that. I'm not saying that's the solution or the fix to a successful life because you have to define what success is for you. What I'm saying is that, let me reference Tupac real quick. The old way wasn't working, so it's on us to do what we got to do to survive. And if you are at a breaking point in your life, or maybe you are at a great point in your life and you're just ready for the next phase, wherever you're at in life, you have to make the changes in order to ascend to those next levels. You can't take all of the old you into the next stages, whether it's uphill or just steady. We're always going to have to tap into new elements and like how we can add on, add more sauce, add more flavor, remix things a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm constantly evolving. And the more I learn about myself and the more I let go of a lot of the chaos and a lot of the clutter, mentally and figuratively, physically and figuratively, I'm letting go of a lot of the clutter, the more I'm realizing that there are so many opportunities available to us. So many. Even in the worst possible situations, there are blessings, there are lessons, yes. And whether I see it in that moment or 5 months to a year or 2 years from now, my mindset is like, okay, well, there has to be a blessing that's going to come out of this. and I'm ready to receive that blessing whenever it is ready for me. And that has saved me a lot of mental stress, a lot of mental heartache, a lot of mental pain and hurt. It doesn't mean that the hurt doesn't still exist, especially when you lose someone you love, or you go through a breakup, or you lose a job. That stuff hurts. But at the same time, especially when it comes to work, let's focus on if you lose a job. I have been fired. I have been laid off. I have quit. And there are stages of grief that you still have to go through and endure through those processes. You don't just wake up and like, oh, life is great. This is amazing. Some people stay in their depression for weeks because they don't realize that there are blessings within that hurt. For example, okay, so after I quit my job, I was like, wow, what is this time? What is this freedom? And I don't have to get dressed in the morning. I could spend time with my grandma, with Nana, and not get in trouble for it. Or even when I was laid off. Let's flash back to 2008. 2008, during the height of the recession, I was laid off. I was working in an office. Um, I was full time, and they had to let me go. I know they tried their best to keep me, but it just wasn't working. And now, as a business owner, I understand that completely. In the moment, it didn't make sense to me. I was just like, this is the end of the world. How am I going to make money? What am I going to do? I panicked a little bit. But as the days went by, I was like, you know what? I'm not the type that's just going to sit around and dwell on this and be stuck in this hurt or this pain or this confusion. Well, what did I always wish I could have done every time I was sitting at that desk, dreading being at work? I didn't even want to be there in the first place. So, what could I do now that I have this newfound time? What have I always wanted to do? And in the moment, once I made up my mind and had that mindset, things started to pop up. I went back to school. I started promoting events. I worked with DJs. I partied for free. I was in my 20s when this happened. I was 24. So imagine a 24-year-old throwing parties, hanging out with DJs, going to school, getting financial aid. I think I still had a little bit of savings. Um, I was able to get unemployment. So it's like you realize, like, okay, I didn't need as much as I thought I needed. Um, but at the same time, now I could do things I actually love and pursue. And that, unfortunately, that did fade away because I didn't have all of the tools, but I still reference that moment, obviously, in this conversation, that had it not been for that experience to get a taste of me working in things that I love, I wouldn't have been able to reframe where I'm at today after I've quit my job to pursue entrepreneurship. So I hope that makes sense. It's like the things we love, we should be doing. And it may not be forever, it may just be for a season. But within that season, that growth is going to carry into the next stages of your life. So I'm going to be 40 next year. And yeah, age is just a number, but it is the reality of things, right? Like I'm going to be 40, and it does play with me psychologically a little bit, like, okay, do I need to be where society tells me to be, or do I need to be where I need to be? And I always go back to, like, no, I just need to be where I need to be, you know. And I do spend a lot of time in my career and in my business, and I know as I evolve, I'm going to have to create more balance within my personal life, so I've started therapy. I'm still getting coached. I'm doing things and projects that I love, like my podcast, YouTube. I still have those creative elements. I have a great group of friends and family that love me for me, and we are still building our bonds, and I'm still learning about me. And I've only had one semi-official therapy appointment, but even through then, she was able to point out that I very much live I don't live within the gray areas of life. It's not a bad thing, also not a good thing. It's more so like I'm either 0 or 100. There's no in between. It's either this or that. And a lot of that is fear based. A lot of that is like living in my comfort zone, self-sabotage, all of that stuff, anxiety, depression, we all go through these bouts with these things. But I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense why I made this decision. That makes sense why, I go so hard when I either, if I don't send a newsletter, it's like, oh, then now I have to send 3 this week. It's like, no, we could just send the one and just get back to building that routine again. It doesn't have to be extreme. Like it's like I feel like this sense of like I owe you something. When it's like no, I owe me. I don't owe anyone else anything. No one asked me to do a newsletter. I chose to do it. So if it's too overwhelming, maybe I just need to stop, or maybe I need to bring it down to a bi-weekly newsletter or a once a month newsletter, right? It doesn't mean that no one said I have to send one out every week. That was a rule I made for myself. But on a personal level, it's just therapy was a goal of mine this year. Even going back to the doctors, getting my regular checkups was a goal of mine that I'd been avoiding for years and years and years. And I think we just make up these big, scary narratives in our minds that aren't necessarily true. I think all of these narratives outweigh the truth when sometimes we just have to face that big monster and realize, oh, it was just this big. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that scary. So visualize, take the time, be still. I wanted to come on here and just talk. I was hoping to just talk for 5 minutes. I just realized I'm approaching 30 minutes. But anyway, I love just talking about life. I love talking about business. I love talking about just ways we can improve our mental health, as well as our physical health, our financial wellness, all of that, in order to just live up to our potential and what we define as success. So, if I was to give you any homework today, if you've made it to this part of the video, take 5 minutes, set a timer, and write all of the things out that you would love to do. Be as delusional and outlandish and safe as you need to be. But I want you to just write all of those things out and then sit with it. 5 minutes. That's all you need. Sit with it for 5 minutes. And if there is any one that resonates with you the most, that you maybe lost sight of, or maybe you thought you were on track with it, take some time to audit your life around that one thing. Pick one out of that list and try to accomplish it. Set some goals. Dream with a date is a goal. Goal plus steps is a plan. Plan plus action is a dream come true. I'm reading my little board up there. And it can be that simple, and it doesn't have to do with business. It could be simply you've been meaning to call your parents, or you want to take a trip out of town. You want to fly, you want to drive, you want to take a road trip, or you want to go see your favorite team play. You want to start a merch collection, whatever it is. You want to change your exercise, your morning routine. You want to implement a morning routine, whatever it is. There's so many opportunities in this life. I just want all of us to seize as many as we can in this lifetime. But do that. Tell me how it goes. And if you're still confused on how to do this, let me know. Hit the subscribe button. I will be dropping videos on how to accomplish these things as well. But also just message me and we can correspond via email. I'll add you to my TC community and we can work on this together. And I can guide you on helping you find the answers you need for your life to be prosperous, adventurous, fun, joyful, easeful, whatever the case may be. So thank you for watching. Thank you. I feel good having come on here and doing another live. It's been a long time, but transactioncare.com is my main hub. It's where you could find every service that I'm offering, whether it's transaction coordination, the podcast, YouTube, coaching, consulting. I have 15-minute discovery calls that you can sign up for. They're free for the months of May and June. And more stuff to come. Stay tuned. But the only way to know is to join my TC community. So transactioncarecommunity.com is another way to access that. And if you want to buy a t-shirt, tccarepackage.com. But like I said, just go to transactioncare.com. I'm going to add that to this conversation. So it just makes it very easy. So if it's your first time visiting my website, you can just enter your name and email and boom, transactioncare.com is the quickest way to join my TC community, shop, listen, watch, work with me, all that good stuff. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate you. And this has been another TC with Lily live Q&A, live check-in, all of that. Go check out the podcast, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's do this. Let's do this. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Until the next episode, I'm out.